After the disaster that was my trip to Dublin, I was ruined. The doctor signed me off work for a couple of weeks. I've become much more withdrawn and haven't been venturing out of the flat as much lately. I needed something to get me out again. It's been raining for days, and even the dogs don't want to leave. And just like that, God sent the sun, and my depression was cured. Bryan lent me his most recent camera purchase, a camera which for this video I'm pretending is in this box. Even though he no longer shoots film, he just can't help himself. He's unsure if it works, and because I'm horrendously depressed and need a reason to get out of the house, I've offered to fling a test roll through it. This is the Olympus Trip AF, and trivia time, as fuck is what AF actually stands for. Made in Japan, this unremarkable plastic box came hurtling into the world sometime during 1984, which makes it older than me, just, and while it does have a faulty shutter counter, it is still in better condition than I am. The camera has a fixed 35mm 3.5 lens, an automatic shutter, and an autofocus range of 1.5 to 4 meters. You can select between 100 and 400 ISO, and there's even a pop-up flash which kicks out a metric flux in the light, and I know this because I blinded myself with it. I'm going to run a roll of expired Fuji Superior 100 through it. I didn't learn about the close focus limit until after I shot the roll. As it turns out, anything that's really close you can just forget about. This is nice though. As freeing as it can be to completely leave it up to the camera, I do prefer to have the basics at the very least. If I get the exposure wrong, I get it wrong, and that's fine. I'll hopefully learn from it. But when the camera screws it up, it's just a pain in the arse, and I find myself thinking I should have used such and such camera instead. But that's not to say I completely hate it. I do think there's a nice snapshot vibe that can come from using a much simpler camera like this. I just don't think it's for me. And much like my opinion on expired film, I'd rather not leave it to chance. Even though this film is looking pretty nice. And that was my token walk down the road since the sun was out, but I still had half a roll to go. So the day after, we loaded the dogs into the car and headed to the abandoned Hartwood Hospital. This was Axel's first urbex experience. Now, I've been here a couple of times in the past, even making it inside and right to the top of the towers. While I guess that is still possible, it looks to be in way worse shape now, and there's no chance I'd bother risking it. So we had a little walk around the grounds before heading back home. The main objective was to see if the camera works, so I wouldn't say I put a ton of effort into composing these photos, but I am genuinely pleased with how the camera handled the exposure. There's no point even mentioning the sharpness, it's not great, but on the most part that's the least interesting aspect of a photo for me anyway, and also it's a cheap point and shoot, so what do you expect? So, how would I rate the Olympus Trip AF? Well, I can't imagine I'll be begging Bryan to let me borrow it again. It's a plastic point and shoot that points all of the time, it shoots most of the time, and with it you can get acceptable levels of focus some of the time. All in all, it's compact, it's cheap, it's average, lovely stuff.